The Grand Library of Nexus 7 was quiet as Krelvox hunched over ancient texts. His four eyes blinked in sequence as he studied the faded symbols. The blue-skinned historian had spent 20 cycles researching what most of his kind called myths. Humans. The very word made his colleagues laugh. Still chasing ghosts, Krell. The voice belonged to Professor Jal Moore, who stood in the doorway with his arms crossed. These are not just stories, Krelvox said without looking up. Look at the star charts. Look at the matching accounts from 3 different species. Jal Moore walked closer and glanced at the old papers. Tales to frighten younglings. Warrior beings who could survive in almost any environment. Who fought with both cunning and strength. He waved a dismissive hand. If such creatures existed, where are they now? Krelvox pointed to a section of the star map. Here, what we call the Dead Zone. The Dead Zone was a region of space all coalition ships avoided. For thousands of years, ships that ventured there simply vanished. Now it was blocked on all official maps with warnings. Coincidence, Jal Moore said. Krelvox shook his head. Too many coincidences. The timing of the Dead Zone's creation matches the last recorded contact with humans. Across the library, a woman with dark hair sat at a data terminal. She appeared to be reading, but her eyes occasionally darted toward the 2 aliens. Lissa Palmer looked human because she was human. Her heart beat faster as she listened to their conversation through the small device in her ear. Palmer had lived on Nexus 7 for 3 years. Her job was simple. Watch for any signs that the Coalition was learning about Earth. So far, Krelvox was the only one who had come close to the truth. When the 2 aliens finally left the library, Palmer touched the small communicator hidden beneath her shirt collar. This is Palmer. The historian is getting closer. He's connected humans to the Dead Zone. She paused. Should I remove his research? The voice that answered was clear despite coming from a ship hidden light years away. Negative. Removal would only confirm his suspicions. Continue monitoring, but prepare for extraction if needed. Understood, Palmer said. She gathered her things and left the library, walking through the busy streets of the alien city. The buildings of Nexus 7 twisted toward the sky like giant glass plants. 7 different species lived here in harmony, each with their own section designed for their specific needs. The Galactic Coalition had maintained peace for over 2,000 years. Palmer entered her small apartment and locked the door. She removed a panel from the wall and took out equipment no alien would recognize. Human technology was far beyond what the Coalition used, though they worked hard to hide this fact. A screen lit up showing a stern-faced man with graying hair. Report, Agent Palmer. Commander, I believe we have a situation. The historian has connected several ancient accounts. He knows the Dead Zone was created around the time humans supposedly disappeared. The commander frowned. How much actual evidence does he have? Nothing concrete. Old stories, matching timelines. But it's more than anyone has pieced together before. Before the commander could respond, a priority alert flashed across Palmer's screen. Her blood ran cold as she read the message. Sir, a Coalition science vessel has sent a distress signal from the edge of the Dead Zone. They claim to have found something. The commander's face hardened. What exactly did they find? Palmer read the incoming data. They discovered an abandoned station. Sir, it's one of ours. An old outpost from before the Great Deception. The commander was silent for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was grim. This is what we've prepared for. Stand by for new orders. If they've found one outpost, they might find others. Palmer nodded, her heart racing. After 3 centuries of hiding, humanity's greatest secret was at risk. The legends were about to become real, and the galaxy wasn't ready for the truth. Admiral John Winters stood on the bridge of the U.S. horizon, his gray eyes fixed on the large display screen. The battleship was the pride of Earth's hidden fleet, a marvel of technology that would shock the Coalition if they ever saw it. The ship sat at the edge of human space, cloaked from all known detection methods. Admiral, "We've confirmed the Coalition science vessel has breached the outer defense perimeter," said Lieutenant Sam Perry from his station. "They've landed on Outpost Delta." Winters nodded, his face showing no emotion. "How many personnel?" "Sensors detect 12 Coalition life forms. Mixed species. They appear to be mostly scientists with minimal security." The Admiral turned to a woman standing nearby. "Commander Rogers, your assessment." Beth Rogers had been analyzing the data as it came in. "The outpost has been abandoned for nearly a century. Most systems should be offline, but there's always the risk they'll access the databanks. Then we need to act quickly," Winters said. He pressed a button on his chair. "Captain Bell, report to the bridge immediately." Minutes later, Captain Eric Bell arrived. He was younger than Winters, with a determined look in his eyes. "Sir," Bell said with a crisp salute. "Captain, I need your team to secure Outpost Delta. The Coalition has found it. Your mission is to assess what they've discovered and eliminate any threat to Earth's security." Bell nodded. "Rules of engagement, sir. Non-lethal if possible. These aren't warriors, just curious scientists. But the secret of humanity's existence must be protected at all costs." Half an hour later, Bell and his team of 6 soldiers boarded a small stealth ship. Unlike the massive Horizon, this vessel was designed for quick, quiet insertions. The ship detached from the Horizon and slipped through space toward the outpost. Meanwhile, on Outpost Delta, Dr. Zaxlor moved carefully through the dusty corridors. The 6-limbed alien scientist could hardly believe what his team had found. The structure was unlike any Coalition architecture. "Tez, are you recording all of this?" he called to his assistant. Tez, a small reptilian being, held up a device. "Every moment, Doctor. This structure appears to be at least 300 years old, yet the technology is far beyond anything the Coalition had at that time," Zaxlor finished. "These control panels, the materials used, this could rewrite our understanding of pre-Coalition history." They reached a large circular room with a table in the center. Dust covered everything, but the design was clearly meant for beings who sat upright, with 2 arms and 2 legs. "Just like the legends described them," Tez whispered. "Humans." Zaxlor was about to respond when the lights suddenly came on. The 2 aliens froze. "The power systems are activating," one of their team called from another room. "I didn't touch anything, I swear." A soft hum filled the station as dormant systems came to life after decades of silence. Warning signals flashed on the Coalition scientists' equipment. "Something's approaching," Tez said, checking his scanner. "A ship, but it doesn't match any known signature." Before they could react, their communications went dead. Their ship, docked outside, reported all systems failing. They were trapped. The sound of a door opening made them turn. Captain Bell stood there, flanked by his team. The aliens stared in shock at beings they had only read about in ancient texts. The humans wore dark uniforms and carried weapons unlike anything the Coalition had developed. Bell stepped forward. His face was stern, but not hostile. "Dr. Zaxlor, I presume," he said, surprising the alien by knowing his name. "On behalf of the United Earth Alliance, I must inform you that you have trespassed into restricted space." Zaxlor's 4 eyes blinked rapidly. You're human. You're actually real." Bell's expression didn't change. "Very real, Doctor. And now we need to have a serious conversation about what happens next." News spread quickly through Coalition space. Humans were real. The creatures of legend, the warriors of old stories, had been hiding all this time. Emergency meetings were called on every major world as leaders tried to understand what this meant. On Nexus 7, Lisa Palmer knew her cover was blown the moment she saw the security forces approaching her apartment. She grabbed her emergency bag and slipped out the back window just as they broke down her door. "Target is fleeing. All units respond," she heard them shout. Palmer ran through the busy market district, using the crowds for cover. Her training kicked in as she changed direction several times, ducking through side alleys and service corridors. Palmer to extraction team. She whispered into her hidden communicator. Cover compromised. Requesting immediate pickup at Point Delta. No response came. The coalition was jamming communications. She would have to reach the backup meeting point on her own. As she turned a corner, 2 security officers spotted her. Stop. Human spy. Palmer didn't slow down. She knocked over a cart of fruit, causing the officers to stumble. The crowd began to panic as word spread that a human was among them. Just as more security forces appeared ahead, the ground shook. People looked up to see a small ship descending rapidly between the tall buildings. It was sleek and black, unlike any coalition design. The ship hovered just above the street. A hatch opened, and a rope ladder dropped down. Palmer, grab on, shouted a woman from the hatch. Without hesitation, Palmer leaped for the ladder. Laser fire from security weapons flashed around her as she climbed. Once she was inside, the ship shot upward with incredible speed. Cutting it close, weren't you? Palmer said, catching her breath. Lieutenant Kate Morgan grinned. Had to make an entrance. The coalition has the whole system on alert. Morgan returned to the pilot's seat and activated the stealth systems. The small human craft became invisible to coalition sensors as it raced toward space. What happened? Palmer asked. How did they discover us? The science team that found the outpost sent data back before we could stop them, Morgan explained. It included images of Captain Bell's team. The coalition now knows exactly what humans look like. Palmer nodded grimly. And now they know I've been spying on them for years. Meanwhile, in the grand meeting chamber on the coalition capital world, Supreme Commander Valar addressed the gathered leaders of all 7 species. The humans have been hiding in what we call the dead zone for centuries, the tall, 4-armed commander said. Our historians are searching the archives for all information about them. An elderly diplomat raised a hand. I remember stories from my youth. Humans fought a terrible war against the harvesters long before our coalition formed. A murmur went through the crowd. The harvesters were spoken of only in whispers, a deadly enemy that had nearly destroyed several civilizations before mysteriously vanishing. Yes, Valar confirmed. Ancient records suggest humans were fierce warriors who stood against the harvesters when others could not. But after that war, they disappeared. We assumed they had been destroyed. Images appeared on the large screen, old drawings and descriptions of humans from various cultures. Instead, Valar continued, they seem to have created the myth of the dead zone to keep us away. They'd been watching us all this time. Back on Earth, Admiral Winters stood before the United Earth Defense Council. The chamber was deep underground, safe from any possible attack. The coalition now knows we exist, he said. The great deception has ended. The council members looked concerned. One spoke up. After 300 years of hiding, are we ready for this? Winters nodded. We've prepared for this day. Our fleets are positioned. Our colonies are secure. He pressed a button, and a holographic display showed hundreds of warships hidden throughout human space. If they come in peace, we will meet them accordingly. If they come for war. Winters paused, his expression hardening. They will learn why the legends of humans made even the bravest warriors tremble. The coalition ship Peaceful Envoy approached the edge of what they had always called the dead zone. Ambassador Trelna stood on the bridge, his slender green body tense with anticipation. After much debate, the Coalition Council had decided to send a diplomatic mission to human space. We are receiving coordinates, the pilot announced. The humans are directing us to a space station. Trelna nodded. Follow their instructions exactly. The Peaceful Envoy moved forward, entering the forbidden region of space for the first time. Nothing happened. No disappearance. No attack. Just stars and silence. They've been watching us avoid this area for centuries, Trelna said quietly. What else have they been watching? After an hour of travel, they saw it. A massive space station hung against the darkness, its design unlike anything in Coalition space. sleek and elegant, with rotating rings and glowing blue energy fields. Several human ships patrolled nearby, each one more advanced than the Coalition's best vessels. "By the ancestors," whispered one of the crew. "Their technology." The peaceful envoy docked at the designated bay. Trelna led his team of 5 diplomats and 2 cultural experts through the airlock. They were met by 2 humans. "Ambassador Trelna, welcome to Artemis Station," said the taller human. "I am Daniel Wright, diplomatic envoy of the United Earth Alliance. This is Major Amy Rodriguez, military attaché." Trelna bowed in the Coalition manner. "We come seeking peaceful dialogue between our peoples." Wright smiled. "Then we share the same goal. Please, follow me." As they walked through the station, the Coalition members couldn't help but stare. The technology was seamless and elegant. Humans of various colors and sizes moved about their duties. Some nodded politely at the aliens. "Your station is most impressive," Trelna said. "May I ask how long it has been here?" "Artemis was constructed about 80 years ago," Rodriguez answered. "It's one of our older outposts." One of Trelna's cultural experts nearly stumbled. "Older? This would be our most advanced design, and you call it old?" Wright led them to a large meeting room with a view of space. "We've prepared for this meeting for some time, Ambassador. We've studied your languages, customs, and history." "While hiding from us," Trelna noted. "Why?" "The Coalition has always sought peaceful relations with new species." Wright and Rodriguez exchanged glances. "Perhaps it's time we explained," Wright said. 300 years ago, humanity fought a war against a species you know as the Harvesters. The ancient enemy." Trelna nodded. "Our oldest records speak of them. We nearly went extinct fighting them." Rodriguez continued. "When it was over, we made a decision. We would withdraw from galactic affairs, create the myth of the dead zone, and rebuild in safety." Wright leaned forward. "We never left. We watched, we learned, and we prepared, because we knew one truth that your Coalition has forgotten." "And what truth is that?" Trelna asked. "The Harvesters were never completely defeated. They retreated, just as we did." The meeting lasted for hours. The Coalition delegation was shocked by human revelations. Humans had mapped the entire galaxy. They had monitored Coalition communications for centuries. Their technology had advanced far beyond what anyone could have imagined. "We propose an alliance," Wright said finally. "Shared knowledge, trade, cultural exchange." "But with conditions," Rodriguez added. "Full disclosure of all Coalition military capabilities and access to certain restricted areas of your space." Trelna frowned. "Those are significant demands. The Council will need to." An alarm suddenly cut through the room. Rodriguez touched her earpiece. "Sir, we have a security breach. Someone's trying to access our main computer core." Wright's face hardened as he looked at Trelna. "It seems members of your delegation had other plans for this meeting. Coalition security officers had attempted to hack into the station's systems. The diplomatic mission was just a cover." "Ambassador, I had no knowledge of this," Trelna said quickly. "But the damage was done. Within minutes, human security teams arrived, and the diplomatic mission that had begun with such promise was now on the verge of collapse." Palmer and Morgan sat in a small room aboard the human stealth ship Swift Arrow. They were reviewing data stolen from Coalition networks before Palmer's cover was blown. "Look at this," Palmer said, pointing to a series of messages. "These communications don't match standard Coalition protocols. They're using some kind of hidden channel." Morgan leaned closer. "Can you trace where they're going?" Palmer typed quickly, her fingers dancing across the screen. "Not exactly, but these patterns, they remind me of something." She pulled up old files from the human archives. "Here, signal patterns from the Harvester War." They looked at each other, faces grim. Morgan spoke first. "Someone in the Coalition is communicating with Harvesters." "That's impossible. We destroyed their main fleet centuries ago." "Not all of them," Palmer reminded her. "Some escaped." Admiral Winters has always believed they were rebuilding somewhere beyond known space. Their ship's AI interrupted. Incoming priority message from command. A screen lit up showing Admiral Winters. Palmer, Morgan, get back to Earth immediately. The diplomatic mission has failed. Coalition agents attempted to breach Artemis Station's security systems. Sir, Palmer said urgently, we've found something you need to see. She transmitted their findings. Winters reviewed the data, his expression darkening. This confirms our worst fears. Bring this information to headquarters. We need to present it to the Coalition ambassador before he leaves. Meanwhile, on Artemis Station, Wright was trying to salvage the diplomatic situation. Trelna had been separated from his team and was protesting strongly. I gave no such orders. This action was not authorized by the Coalition Council. Wright studied the alien's face carefully. Then who gave the orders, Ambassador? Who would risk war with a civilization that they just discovered? Before Trelna could answer, Rodriguez rushed in. Sir, we're detecting an enormous energy signature at the edge of the Solaris system. It just appeared out of nowhere. Wright turned to a screen showing a massive object emerging from what appeared to be a tear in space itself. The object was dark and organic-looking, with spikes and protrusions that seemed to absorb light. Harvester ship, Wright whispered. Full alert. All stations, battle positions. Across human space, alarms sounded. Hidden defense platforms activated. Military ships moved into position. Artemis Station itself transformed as weapon systems emerged from previously invisible compartments. Trelna watched in awe. Your defenses, they're everywhere. We've been preparing for 300 years, Rodriguez said. This is why we hid. This is what we feared. Admiral Winters addressed the United Earth Defense Council from his flagship. The moment we've prepared for has arrived. A Harvester mothership has been activated. We believe elements within the Coalition found it and attempted to control it. One council member asked, are we certain this wasn't the Coalition's plan all along? No, Winters replied honestly. But right now, that doesn't matter. The Harvester ship is a threat to all life, human and Coalition alike. He turned to his communications officer. Send the signal. Activate all fleets. Throughout what the Coalition had known as the Dead Zone, massive ships began to power up. Hidden shipyards revealed warships of incredible size. Space stations uncloaked. Defense platforms activated. For the first time in centuries, the full might of humanity's military stood revealed. On the Coalition capital world, Supreme Commander Volar watched in shock as reports came in from border outposts. Thousands of ships, an officer reported, more advanced than anything we've ever seen. Human warships are emerging throughout the sector. Volar's aide whispered, are they attacking us? No, Volar said, studying the movement patterns. They're forming a defensive line between us and the Harvester ship. The commander paused. The humans aren't our enemy. They're protecting us. Back on Artemis, Wright showed Trelna the fleet deployments. For centuries, we've been the guardians you never knew you had. We fought the Harvesters once. We'll do it again. Trelna stared at the massive human armada. All this time, we thought you were just legends. Legends, Wright said grimly, with very real warships. The Harvester ship attacked without warning. Its first target was a small Coalition mining colony on the planet Veros. Dark ships poured from the mothership, descending on the helpless world. No response to communications, reported a Coalition officer to Supreme Commander Volar. Veros has gone silent. Estimated casualties, 30,000. Volar's face hardened. Deploy all available ships to evacuate nearby colonies. Sir, our vessels won't arrive in time to save the next planets in the Harvester's path. Volar knew this was true. Coalition ships were too slow, too few. The commander stared at the tactical display, showing the Harvester mothership's projected course. It would reach 3 more colonies before Coalition forces could respond. Then, something unexpected happened. Human warships appeared near the threatened planets. They moved faster than any coalition vessel, dropping out of some unknown form of faster-than-light travel right next to the colonies. "Sir, human ships are evacuating Teller and Norvin. They're moving the civilians to safety." Valar watched in disbelief. The humans were saving coalition citizens even as tensions between their governments remained high. On the bridge of the U.S. horizon, Admiral Winters directed the evacuation. "All civilian transports clear from Teller," an officer reported. "Moving to Norvin now." Winters nodded. "And the Harvester fleet? Their advanced ships will reach Norvin in 20 minutes. Our defense line is in position." "Then it's time," Winters said. He opened a channel to all human ships. "This is Admiral Winters. For 3 centuries, we have prepared for this day. The enemy that nearly destroyed us has returned. We know their tactics. We know their weaknesses. Today, we protect not just humanity, but all life in this galaxy. Engage the enemy." Human warships moved into formation. Unlike the rigid, predictable patterns of coalition fleets, the human ships flowed like water, constantly shifting and reforming. When the Harvester attack ships arrived, they faced a wall of advanced technology. The battle was visible from the coalition capital. People gathered in plazas, watching the distant flashes of light in the night sky. For many, it was their first glimpse of the legendary humans in action. The Coalition Council met in emergency session. Ambassador Trilna, recently returned from Artemis Station, addressed the assembly. "The humans are fighting to protect us, even after our actions nearly caused a diplomatic incident. They possess technology far beyond our own. Their ships move with incredible speed and precision." One council member stood. "How can we be sure they aren't working with the Harvesters? Perhaps this is all an elaborate trap." Before Trilna could answer, the chamber doors opened. Palmer and Morgan entered, escorted by coalition guards. "We have evidence," Palmer announced, "that someone within your coalition has been communicating with the Harvesters." She displayed the data they had discovered. Communications logs, secret meetings, strange energy signatures. "These signals match Harvester patterns from the ancient war," Morgan explained. "Someone found a dormant Harvester ship and woke it, thinking they could control it." The evidence pointed to one person, Archdirector Felvos, head of the Coalition's Science Division. Guards were immediately dispatched to detain him, but it was too late. Felvos had already fled. Meanwhile, across multiple star systems, the battle raged. Human ships took heavy damage but held the line. The Harvester attack craft were numerous but outdated compared to modern human weapons. For every human ship that fell, dozens of Harvester vessels were destroyed. Coalition forces finally arrived, joining the battle. Their captains were shocked to receive tactical data and instructions from human commanders, guiding them to most effectively fight alongside the human fleet. Valar watched Coalition and human ships fighting together on the tactical display. "They're adapting their tactics to work with our ships," an officer noted with amazement. "No," Valar corrected. "They already knew exactly how our ships operate. They've been watching us for centuries, remember. This was planned. They anticipated this alliance." As the combined fleet drove back the Harvester forces, one thing became clear to everyone in the Coalition. The legends of human military prowess had not been exaggerated. They had been understated. The final battle took place above the Coalition capital world. The Harvester mothership had pushed through the defensive lines, aiming for the heart of Coalition space. It seemed unstoppable, absorbing damage that would have destroyed any other vessel. Admiral Winters' flagship, the U.S. Defiant, led the human fleet in pursuit. The massive human warship was scared from previous battles, but still powerful. Status report. Winters ordered as the Defiant moved into position. Harvester mothership shields at 60%. Our main weapons are having limited effect, an officer reported. Coalition evacuation of the capital is 40% complete. Winters studied the tactical display. "We need to end this now. Too many lives are at stake." He opened a channel to Palmer and Morgan, who had transferred to a small stealth ship. Are you in position? Almost, Palmer replied. The small ship was approaching the Harvester mothership from behind, using the chaos of battle as cover. We'll need 5 minutes to reach the entry point. While the main fleets engaged the Harvester forces, Palmer and Morgan's mission was critical. They would infiltrate the mothership and place quantum destabilizers at key points. It was a desperate plan, but the only way to destroy the massive enemy vessel. On the coalition capital, Wright and Ambassador Trelna coordinated evacuation efforts. Thousands of civilians boarded ships as the battle raged in the sky above them. Your people fight with remarkable courage, Trelna said, watching human soldiers helping coalition citizens onto transport ships. Wright nodded. 300 years ago, we nearly lost everything to the Harvesters. We promised ourselves, never again. Major Rodriguez led ground forces against Harvester troops that had landed in the city. The aliens were tall, insect-like creatures with natural armor and powerful claws. They were mindless drones controlled by the mothership. Form a perimeter around the evacuation zone, Rodriguez ordered. Her soldiers moved with practiced precision, their weapons cutting down the advancing enemy. Coalition fighters joined the human soldiers. Though less well-equipped, they fought bravely to defend their home. Aboard the Harvester mothership, Palmer and Morgan moved through dark, organic corridors. The air was thick and hard to breathe. They placed destabilizers at structural points, working from memorized plans based on ancient human encounters with similar ships. Last one, Morgan whispered, placing the final device. Let's move. As they turned to leave, they came face to face with Archdirector Felvos. The coalition scientist was changed, with strange mechanical implants fused to his body. You cannot stop what is coming, he said, his voice oddly flat. The Harvesters offered knowledge and power beyond imagination. They offered you nothing, Palmer replied. They used you to return. Felvos attacked, his enhanced body stronger than a normal coalition member. Palmer and Morgan fought desperately, finally subduing him long enough to reach their extraction point. As their ship cleared the mothership, Palmer activated the destabilizers. Detonation in 30 seconds, she reported to Admiral Winters. Clear the blast radius. The human and coalition ships pulled back. The Harvester mothership, sensing danger, tried to escape. But it was too late. The destabilizers created a chain reaction, tearing the massive ship apart from within. The explosion lit up the sky over the coalition capital like a new sun. When it faded, the remaining Harvester forces became disorganized and were quickly defeated. In the days that followed, humans and coalition members worked together to rebuild. The secrets and suspicions of centuries began to fade. A new alliance was formed, with humans taking a leadership role due to their advanced technology and military experience. 1 month after the battle, Admiral Winters and Ambassador Trelna stood on the observation deck of Earth's orbital defense platform. Below them, the blue-green planet turned peacefully. Above, a combined fleet of human and coalition ships prepared for their mission, hunting down the remaining Harvester outposts. For generations, we told stories of the legendary humans, Trelna said. Now our children will learn the truth. Winters smiled slightly. Sometimes legends return when they're needed most. Together, they watched as the fleet departed, carrying the combined strength of 2 civilizations united at last.